You know that feeling when you look at a finished building and something's just not quite right? It doesn't match the drawings, the vision. Well, there's often this huge chasm between that perfect digital model and the physical thing that actually gets built. Today, we're going to dig into why that happens and, way more importantly, how we can fix it. So let's dive in. And here it is, right? On the left, you've got the vision. It's got the clean lines, the perfect materials, just a flawless design. And then on the right, well, that's the reality we sometimes end up with. It's a tale as old as time in construction. And this gap, this is where projects lose their value, where safety can be compromised, and where expectations just fall flat. At the heart of this problem is the loss of something we call design intent. Okay, so before we can even think about protecting it, we've got to get on the same page about what design intent actually means. Look, design intent isn't just about making things look pretty. It is the why behind every single decision. It's the whole rulebook, the performance specs, the quality standards, the functional goals, that really defines whether a project is a success or not. You can think of it like a project's DNA, and if you start messing with it, you don't really have the same project anymore, do you? So, if this stuff is so critical, how on earth does it get lost along the way? Well, it usually comes down to one of three big reasons. The first one is probably the most common, and it's just so human. It all kicks off with this simple, classic breakdown in communication. The engineer specifies one thing, crystal clear in their head, but for a whole host of reasons, the contractor out in the field gets a completely different picture. And these breakdowns, they can happen in so many ways. It might be someone misreading a really complex drawing. Or maybe it's just a casual comment on site, a hey, just do it like this, that never gets written down. Or you have information silos, where the design team and the construction crew are basically living in different worlds, not sharing crucial updates. Each tiny gap can spiral into a huge detour from the original plan. Every one of those misinterpreted lines is just a potential disaster waiting to happen. All right, the second major threat. This one comes from a process called value engineering. Now, on paper, value engineering is a good thing. I mean, it's a formal process for reviewing a design to find smarter, more cost-effective ways to get the job done. But there's a trap. And this quote right here it absolutely nails it. See, true value engineering is all about optimization. It's about finding a better, more efficient path to achieve the exact same design intent. The trap is when that process turns into simple cost cutting, where the core function or the quality gets sacrificed just to save a few bucks on the front end. This chart just perfectly illustrates the danger. You see the original spec cost up there, it's high. The value engineered alternative, hey, it brings the cost down, which looks great. But then you look at that third bar, the long-term performance impact. That cheaper material might save you money today, but if it fails 5 years down the road, those savings are completely gone, eaten up by repairs and replacements. It all comes down to choosing optimization over compromise, every single time. And our third threat? This one happens right there in the mud and the dust of the job site. It's called field expediency. It's a very official-sounding name for what's basically making small, undocumented changes on the fly to solve a problem or just to move things along faster. And while these on-the-spot decisions might seem pretty harmless, trust me, they are anything but. An uncontrolled change, even something that seems tiny, like using a different kind of bolt or tweaking a connection just a bit, can create massive ripple effects. It can directly compromise quality, and in a worst-case scenario, the structural integrity of the entire project. And here's just how fast this can turn into a complete disaster. So the design gets finalized. Then, to save a little time or money, an unapproved material gets swapped in. But that new material behaves a little differently, so a small field modification has to be made to get it to fit. And the result? The entire system fails a critical performance test. Now you're looking at expensive rework and major delays. It's a classic domino effect, all started by one tiny, uncontrolled change. So there you have it, the trifecta of problems: communication breakdowns, value engineering gone wrong, and rogue changes in the field. Yeah, it sounds pretty daunting, but the solution, it's actually not that complicated. It's about building a bridge between that initial vision and the final reality. And that bridge, my friends, is built with coordination. And if there's one thing you take away today, it's this: clear communication, true collaboration, and solid protocols. That is the bridge. It's what carries the design intent safely from an architect's screen all the way to a finished standing structure. It's what connects every single person and makes sure everyone is building the exact same project. So, how do we actually build that bridge? Well, it boils down to four really actionable steps. First, you've got to establish clear protocols for how you communicate and how you handle changes. Everyone needs to know the rules of the game from day one. Second, you have to mandate regular coordination meetings. These aren't optional, they're where you break down those silos. Third, and this one is non negotiable, document everything, every change, no matter how small. If it's not on paper, it didn't happen. And finally, empower the design team. Give them the oversight and authority during construction to actually protect their own vision. You know, in the end, it really all comes down to this. The whole point of a detailed design and engineering process is to create a very specific outcome. Protecting that design intent isn't just about dodging problems, it's about successfully delivering the value, the quality, and the safety that you envisioned from the very, very beginning. And that leaves us with one final question for you to really think about. Doesn't matter if you're a designer, an engineer, or a contractor, think about the project you're on right now. Where is the communication weakest? Because finding that gap, that is the first step to building the bridge and making sure the vision actually becomes the reality.